Amelia Johnson stepped out of the taxi with an unassuming appearance. She wore a simple white shirt and black jeans, paired with a pair of worn-out sneakers. Her black hair was neatly tied back, exposing her bright face with no makeup. From the outside, no one would guess that she was the CEO of one of the world's leading investment firms. She had come to the city seeking new opportunities. After years of hard work, she decided to focus on community-driven projects. One of her goals this time was to invest in the hospitality industry, where she believed that creating fairness and a welcoming environment could change the way people viewed the service industry. The hotel she chose to stay at was Grand Willow, one of the most luxurious hotels in the city. From a distance, Amelia looked up at the towering building with its intricate design. The sparkling chandeliers in the main lobby cast a shimmering light, creating an atmosphere of opulence but also coldness. She stepped through the large glass door, feeling the shift from the cold outside to the warm atmosphere inside. Behind the reception desk was a tall man with well-groomed blonde hair. He wore a sleek black suit, his sharp gaze seemingly searching for any weakness in those who entered. This man was Ethan Blake, the hotel manager, known for his arrogant attitude and clear classist views. Amelia approached the front desk and gave a light smile. "Hello, I'd like to book a room," she said in a calm and polite tone. Ethan looked up, his eyes scanning Amelia in an evaluative way. A smug smile briefly appeared on his lips. "We're fully booked," he replied curtly. Amelia was momentarily surprised. She looked around and clearly saw that the hotel wasn't busy. "Really? I thought the hotel still had vacancies." Ethan tilted his head, his gaze sharp. "We don't accommodate people like you," he said, his voice laced with condescension. "Perhaps you'll find somewhere more fitting." His words felt like a slap to Amelia's face, but instead of getting angry, she remained calm. "People like me?" she asked, her voice still gentle but sharp. "I mean, we serve high-class guests. Maybe you should try somewhere less luxurious," Ethan replied, his eyes flashing with disdain. Amelia remained silent for a few seconds. Her eyes met his, long enough for Ethan to shift his gaze. Then she smiled, a smile full of hidden meaning. "Thank you for your kindness. Have a nice day," she said, then turned and walked out of the hotel. The glass door closed behind Amelia, but inside, a storm was brewing. It wasn't because Ethan's words had hurt her. She had heard similar things hundreds of times before. What angered her was how people like Ethan still existed, spreading injustice in a world she had worked so hard to change. Amelia stepped out onto the street, but instead of continuing on, she stopped by the sidewalk. A homeless woman sat nearby, huddled in a tattered coat to escape the cold. Amelia pulled out her wallet, took a few bills, and gently placed them in the woman's hand. "Thank you, ma'am," the woman stammered, her eyes filled with gratitude. Amelia smiled. "You're welcome. Stay warm." She then pulled out her phone and called her assistant. Jason, please confirm the details for me. Has the Grand Willow Hotel completed the transfer?" Jason responded immediately. "Yes, Ms. Johnson. Our corporation has owned the entire hotel since this morning. Would you like to arrange a press conference to announce it?" Amelia squinted at the hotel in the distance, its lights sparkling. "No need. I'll go there myself and handle things. Prepare the documents for me so I can declare ownership right now." Jason was slightly surprised by Amelia's determined tone, but he didn't ask any further questions. "I'll bring all the documents right away." Amelia didn't wait long before Jason arrived, accompanied by a small group of legal staff and a stack of documents. She carefully reviewed the papers, then checked her watch. It had only been 5 minutes since she left the hotel, but in her mind, she was already prepared to return and face Ethan. "Let's go," she said to her team. She walked into the hotel once again, this time with a different presence. Although she was still dressed in the same clothes, her demeanor had shifted. Confidence and authority now radiated from her. Ethan, who was talking to a client, turned when he heard the sound of her footsteps. His face immediately darkened. "What are you doing here?" he asked, his tone blunt. Amelia didn't respond right away. Instead, she motioned to Jason. He placed a folder on the counter and opened it, revealing the transfer contract with a prominent red seal. "I'm here to announce that, from this moment on, I am the new owner of the Grand Willow," Amelia said, her voice calm but commanding. Ethan stood frozen. A deadly silence filled the hotel lobby. The staff around them exchanged looks, too afraid to even breathe. Amelia took a step forward, her gaze never leaving Ethan. "And I want all staff, including you, to be in the meeting room in 10 minutes. We'll be having a conversation." Ethan tried to maintain his composure, but his trembling voice betrayed him. "This is a mistake. I don't believe you." "Mistake," Amelia interrupted. "This contract has the signature of the former owner, the lawyer, and all the relevant parties. If you want to verify, I'll have my lawyer handle it with you. But remember, I don't have much time to waste on people who don't know how to respect others." Ethan had no response. He reluctantly nodded and walked into the meeting room, where an important discussion awaited, one that would change everything, not just for the hotel, but for him as well. Amelia walked into the Grand Willow Hotel's meeting room with an unmistakable presence. The room, located on the top floor, had large windows that offered a panoramic view of the city. Previously, this space had been the site of management meetings, with Ethan always at the center, running things with the smugness of someone in charge. But now, he sat huddled in a corner, while Amelia's gaze swept across everyone. The room seemed to freeze. Some staff members, including longtime employees, sat silently, almost statue-like. A few looked down at the table, avoiding Amelia's gaze, while a few others appeared nervous. Ethan, sitting at the far end of the table, was red-faced with anger and embarrassment but didn't dare to speak. Amelia stood at the head of the table, her eyes sharp but calm. She placed her briefcase on the table and spoke, her voice strong and clear. "Good morning. I am Amelia Johnson. As some of you may know, my company has just completed the acquisition of Grand Willow, and I will be the new owner of this hotel." The room fell silent. No one dared to speak, but all eyes were on Ethan. He tried to say something but was unable to, his throat seemingly blocked. "Some of you are probably wondering, why am I here? I'll explain. I believe in creating an environment where everyone is respected and welcomed. However, less than an hour ago, I was treated with disdain and discrimination right here in the main lobby of this hotel. This is not only unacceptable, but it is something that will never happen again under my management." Amelia paused, letting her words sink in. A few employees lowered their heads, clearly feeling ashamed. Ethan, though still silent, could not hide his discomfort. "I want everyone to understand clearly, discrimination, whether based on race, gender, or any other reason, will have no place at Grand Willow. I am here to restructure, not just the business but also how we treat one another." Unable to bear it any longer, Ethan slammed his hand on the table and stood up. "You can't come in here and criticize us like this. You don't understand this hospitality industry. You don't belong here." Amelia looked directly at Ethan, unwavering. "Mr. Blake, I understand the hospitality industry more than you think. And the first thing I understand is that your attitude is not suited for a management position." Ethan opened his mouth, but Amelia continued before he had a chance to respond. "You are immediately suspended. The HR department will be working with you to process your contract termination." The room held its breath. Ethan's face turned red, stammering a few words but unable to articulate anything clearly. Finally, he reluctantly left the meeting room, slamming the door behind him. Amelia let out a light sigh and turned back to the remaining team members. "Now, let's get to work." Immediately after the meeting, Amelia set to work on restructuring the entire hotel. First, she called for a comprehensive audit, examining everything from finances and facilities to employee attitudes. During the process, she discovered that it wasn't just Ethan but also several other staff members who were involved in inappropriate behavior. Amelia convened another meeting with the remaining senior HR team. She didn't scold or criticize but focused on setting a new vision. We will work together to make Grand Willow a place where everyone wants to come, not only because of its luxury but also because of its genuine warmth. But to achieve this, we need to change from within. Some employees were initially skeptical. They were accustomed to the old way of working, where those in power, like Ethan, controlled everything. But Amelia's decisiveness and enthusiasm gradually convinced them. Amelia also brought in a new team, consisting of hotel industry experts and people with experience working in diverse environments. Each individual was chosen not only for their skills but also for their positive attitude. She paid special attention to creating training programs on equality and inclusion for all staff members. These training sessions were designed not only to change mindsets but also to encourage everyone to think deeply about how they treat both customers and colleagues. In an internal meeting, a young employee asked Amelia, "Ms. Johnson, what made you decide to invest in the hotel industry, especially when you could do so many other things?" The question caused Amelia to pause for a moment. She looked around the room, her gaze meeting every curious face. Then she began to tell her story. "I grew up in a poor neighborhood. My mother worked 2 jobs a day to raise my 3 sisters and me. When I was young, I used to dream of being able to take my mother to a luxury hotel so she could rest and relax, without worrying about anything. But I soon realized that places like that were often not meant for people like us." Amelia spoke about the first time she entered a big hotel. She was just a teenage girl, wearing an old dress, but her eyes were full of curiosity. But instead of being welcomed, she was kicked out for an unclear reason. From that day on, I swore to myself that one day, I would change that. I would create places where anyone, no matter who they are, would be treated with respect. Amelia's story silenced the room. A few employees looked somewhat embarrassed, as if they realized they had once been the ones to treat others unfairly. Although Ethan had been fired, he was not one to give up easily. He tried to spread rumors about Amelia, claiming that she was not capable of managing a luxury hotel like Grand Willow. He also reached out to several former employees, trying to convince them to oppose the changes Amelia was bringing. Amelia quickly realized this and decided to face it head-on. She called for a press conference to clarify all the rumors. During the meeting, she laid out her plans in detail, emphasizing that change was necessary for Grand Willow to survive and grow. "This is not just a hotel. This is a symbol of fairness and inclusivity, and I will not let anyone, including those who do not believe in this vision, stand in my way." Amelia's strong statement not only dispelled any doubts but also garnered support from the community. News articles praised her decisiveness and vision, leaving Ethan with no opportunity to sabotage her efforts. Realizing he could not win, Ethan ultimately left the city. But Amelia knew that the real battle was not with an individual like Ethan, but with the deep-seated prejudices in society. And she was ready to face any challenge to turn her vision into reality. After Ethan was fired and the press conference was a resounding success, Amelia got to work on the hotel's reconstruction. But not long after, she faced her first challenge. A longtime VIP client of Grand Willow, Mr. Charles Morgan, publicly announced he was pulling his contract with the hotel. Charles Morgan was a wealthy businessman who frequently hosted lavish events at Grand Willow. His presence not only brought revenue but also symbolized the hotel's prestige. When he heard about the changes Amelia was implementing, particularly the focus on diversity and inclusion, he expressed his discontent. "I don't care about her so-called reforms or inclusivity," Charles stated in an interview with the press. "Grand Willow is for the elite, not for those who want to destroy tradition." This news hit Amelia's restructuring efforts hard. Many employees began to panic, fearing that Charles's departure would lead other wealthy clients to leave as well. Some even started questioning Amelia's leadership abilities. But Amelia didn't let it shake her. She held a meeting with her new management team and declared that she would handle this issue herself. He may be an important client, but he's not everything. If we let one person affect our change, we'll fail from the start. Amelia then personally arranged a private meeting with Charles. During the meeting, he continued to display his contempt and outright rejected any of her explanations. But instead of responding with anger, Amelia used logic and persuasion. "Mr. Morgan," she said calmly, "Grand Willow is not just a hotel. It's a symbol. If you truly want to protect the values of this place, you need to understand that inclusion and innovation do not destroy tradition. They make it stronger." Charles remained silent for a moment. Amelia's determination and confidence seemed to make him reconsider. While he didn't immediately agree, he didn't make any further negative declarations after the meeting. Despite being ousted from Grand Willow, Ethan did not give up on his plans for revenge. He reached out to several former employees, promising them that he would find a way to overthrow Amelia. He also spread false rumors about her, claiming that she had bought the hotel to satisfy her personal ego and did not truly care about the staff or the guests. The rumors quickly spread, and some of the former employees influenced by Ethan began to cause trouble. They intentionally sabotaged work, refused to follow the new regulations, and even secretly leaked internal information outside the hotel. Amelia received reports about these actions and immediately called an urgent meeting. She looked directly at the employees being influenced and did not hesitate to point out their dissatisfaction. But instead of reprimanding or threatening them, Amelia asked a question. "I understand that you may disagree with the changes, but I want to ask, do you really want this hotel to continue sinking into injustice? Or do you want to see it become better for everyone?" Her words left many people silent. Some employees, who had initially been swayed by Ethan, began to realize that Amelia was not just a leader, but someone with vision and compassion. Gradually, they returned to support her. With Amelia's relentless efforts, the atmosphere in the hotel began to change. Employees who had once doubted her started to recognize the value in her approach. Amelia was not just a leader from afar. She regularly engaged in the daily activities of the hotel, from meeting with guests to supporting staff in challenging situations. On a busy morning, a receptionist named Sarah made a mistake while booking a room for an important guest. Instead of scolding her, Amelia stepped forward, smiled, and helped Sarah resolve the issue quickly and efficiently. "Don't worry," Amelia said to Sarah after everything was settled. "Everyone makes mistakes. What's important is that we learn from them." Amelia's actions not only helped Sarah regain her confidence but also motivated other employees. They began working harder, not out of fear of being fired, but because they felt genuine care from their leader. Amelia also organized monthly meetings to listen to feedback from all employees, from management to housekeeping staff. She encouraged everyone to share ideas and suggestions for improving the service. After months of relentless effort, Grand Willow finally achieved its first success under Amelia's leadership. A grand event was held at the hotel, attracting hundreds of guests from across the city. This was the first event since the hotel was restructured, and it was an opportunity for Amelia to prove that her changes were truly valuable. The party took place in a magnificent setting with sparkling lights, soothing music, and dishes prepared by top chefs. Guests, from renowned businesspeople to artists, expressed their satisfaction with the quality of service and the friendly atmosphere of the hotel. What was particularly remarkable was that the hotel staff also felt the difference. They worked with pride, no longer under pressure or fear as they had before. A housekeeping staff member named Maria, who had once been looked down upon by Ethan, was moved to tears when a guest thanked her. "Thank you for keeping my room so clean. You truly did a great job," the guest said. Maria turned to Amelia after the event and said, "Thank you for bringing hope and trust back to us. I never thought I could be proud of this job before." Amelia smiled, her heart filled with joy. For her, this was not just a small victory, but the beginning of much greater changes. Grand Willow now had a completely different appearance compared to the days under Ethan's management, not only in terms of material things, but more importantly in its spirit and work culture. The hotel gradually came back to life, not just becoming a luxurious venue but also a place where people could feel welcomed and treated equally. Amelia made significant investments in upgrading the facilities. Every room was redesigned with a style that was both modern and cozy, ensuring that anyone who entered would feel comfortable. She also added new services, including a playroom for children, a co-working space for business guests, and entertainment areas for families. But above all, the biggest change came from the staff. Training sessions on customer service, communication skills, and especially inclusive thinking made the staff more confident and professional. The atmosphere in the hotel was now lively, filled with positive energy. One day, Amelia was walking through the main lobby and happened to overhear a conversation between a new guest and a receptionist. "This is the first time I've really felt welcome at a big hotel," the guest said. "I've been to other places, but they always made me feel like I didn't belong." The receptionist smiled and replied, "We always want everyone to feel comfortable here. That's the new motto of Grand Willow." Amelia stood at a distance, hearing those words, and felt a warm sense of joy in her heart. This was exactly what she had aimed for. Not just to satisfy customers, but to change the way they experienced the service industry. One quiet afternoon, Amelia was working in her office when there was a knock on the door. She looked up and saw Ethan Blake, the former manager, standing there. He no longer had the arrogant demeanor he once did, but instead there was exhaustion and a hint of hesitation. "Hello, Ms. Johnson," Ethan said, his voice soft. "Can I speak with you for a moment?" Amelia was surprised but remained composed. "Please, come in." Ethan sat down in the chair across from Amelia's desk. He hesitated for a moment, then lowered his head. I want to apologize," he said, his voice trembling. "I acted wrong, not just with you, but with many others." Amelia observed Ethan for a moment, carefully considering every word he spoke. It seemed that time and failure had changed him. He explained that, after being fired, he faced many difficulties in finding a new job. The bad reputation for how he treated employees and customers had spread across the industry, causing him to be rejected in many places. "I've lost everything," Ethan admitted, "and that made me realize I need to change. I'm not here to ask for my job back. I just want to apologize and thank you for teaching me an important lesson." Amelia paused for a moment before responding. "You know, Ethan, change always begins with recognizing our mistakes. I accept your apology, but that doesn't mean you are forgiven immediately. Change takes time and real action." Ethan nodded, a look of gratitude on his face. "I understand, and I'll prove it through my actions." After the meeting with Ethan, Amelia spent a quiet evening reflecting. She remembered the times she had been treated unfairly in the past. Growing up in a poor neighborhood, she had faced many insults and condescending looks just because of the color of her skin. But those experiences didn't make her weak. On the contrary, they made her stronger. Amelia recalled the first time she entered the business world, where discrimination was even more apparent. Once, at a major meeting, a partner refused to collaborate with her simply because he didn't believe a black woman could successfully lead. Instead of feeling discouraged, Amelia was determined to prove him wrong, and she did. Step by step, she built her career, not just to succeed but to become a role model for others. Now, looking back at her journey, Amelia realized that Grand Willow was not just a business project. It was an opportunity for her to create real change, not only for the hotel but also for the community. As Grand Willow began to achieve success, a major competitor in the hotel industry, Royal Crown, felt threatened. Royal Crown, a long-established hotel chain known for its luxurious style, had also been criticized for its lack of inclusivity. Royal Crown started spreading rumors that Grand Willow was only pretending to be inclusive to attract attention. They even released articles in the press accusing Amelia's changes of being superficial and unsustainable. Amelia knew this was an unhealthy competitive strategy. But she didn't respond immediately. Instead, she organized a series of events at Grand Willow, focusing on celebrating cultural diversity. These events included art performances, equality workshops, and exhibitions showcasing works from multi-ethnic artists. These events not only attracted a large number of attendees, but also received positive attention from the media. The press praised Grand Willow as the new symbol of innovation and inclusivity in the hotel industry. The pinnacle was an article in a prestigious newspaper titled Grand Willow, From a Place of Injustice to a Symbol of Hope. The article acknowledged Amelia and her team's efforts to transform the hotel into a truly welcoming place for everyone. Royal Crown, overshadowed by Grand Willow's success, was eventually forced to change its strategy. They realized that attacking was no longer effective and decided to focus on internal improvements instead of infighting. Once again, Amelia triumphed not through confrontation, but by proving her true value through action. Grand Willow became a phenomenon in the hotel industry, not only because of Amelia's reforms, but also due to how she inspired the staff and the surrounding community. Once labeled as unfriendly to diversity, the hotel was now a beloved destination for everyone, from ordinary families to famous businesspeople. Amelia didn't stop at improving services. She began organizing workshops and free training programs for service industry workers, particularly those from disadvantaged backgrounds. She believed that helping others not only improved their lives but also made the industry more sustainable. One of Amelia's major initiatives was the Grand Willow Inclusion Program. This program collaborated with nonprofit organizations to create job opportunities for those who had been discriminated against in society, from single mothers and immigrants to former convicts who were seeking to turn their lives around. The program quickly became a huge success, with over 100 people hired at the hotel within a year. At an awards ceremony honoring outstanding individuals, Amelia stood on stage, looking out at the audience. She could feel the support and affection of the crowd, knowing that all her efforts had been worthwhile. As Grand Willow continued to shine, Ethan Blake, the former hotel manager, was still on his journey of self-discovery. After his meeting with Amelia, he decided to completely change his life. Ethan began attending management training courses and learning how to lead with respect and empathy. Although it was difficult, Ethan did not give up. He found a new job at a small hotel, where he was no longer a manager but just an ordinary employee. It was in this role that Ethan learned the value of humility and respect. He began to understand that a true leader is not someone who gives orders, but someone who knows how to inspire and support others. One day, Ethan returned to Grand Willow, not to ask for a job, but to thank Amelia. He came in on a quiet morning while Amelia was working in her office. "Ms. Johnson," Ethan said, his voice full of emotion, "I want to thank you. If it weren't for you, I would never have realized my mistakes. I know I hurt a lot of people, and I am trying to make things right." Amelia smiled. "I'm glad to hear that, Ethan. The journey of change is never easy, but what matters is that you've started." Ethan left with a sense of relief and hope, knowing that he was on the right path. To celebrate the second anniversary of Grand Willow's change of ownership, Amelia decided to host a grand event called Night of Hope. This was not just a lavish party, but also an opportunity for her to show gratitude to the employees, customers, and community who had supported the hotel. The evening unfolded in a magnificent setting. The main hall was decorated with artwork from young artists, most of whom had been part of the Grand Willow Inclusion Program. The food, prepared by talented chefs from different countries, reflected the cultural diversity that Amelia had always championed. The highlight of the evening was Amelia's speech. Standing on stage, bathed in light, she addressed the crowd of hundreds of guests. Grand Willow is not just a hotel. It is a dream, a symbol of change and hope. I want to thank all of you, the staff, the customers, and the community, for your trust and support. The success of Grand Willow is not mine alone. It belongs to all of us. The entire hall erupted in applause. Some employees, those who had stood by Amelia since the very beginning, could not hold back tears. It was a moment when everyone felt the power of unity and compassion. As the party ended, Amelia stood on the balcony, gazing out at the city illuminated by lights. She knew her journey with Grand Willow was far from over. There was still so much to be done, so many people to help, and countless challenges ahead. But she wasn't afraid. On the contrary, she felt energized and determined. The next day, Amelia called a meeting with her management team. "We've achieved so much, but this is just the beginning," she said. "I want to expand the Grand Willow model nationwide. We will build more hotels where everyone feels welcomed and respected." Her team, aware that this would be a challenging task, did not hesitate. They were all united because they believed in Amelia's vision and the values she had inspired. Grand Willow, once a small hotel with a history of discrimination, had now become a symbol of hope, inclusion, and change. And Amelia, the woman once scorned and humiliated, had proven that with persistence and determination, anyone could change the world in their own way.